forget about this ayah right now. I'm going to give you a principle, yeah, that for future reference, when you study the Quran, make sure you follow the steps. Now, tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran, that's the first step. The best tafsir of the Quran is the Quran itself. If there are other verses that explains the other verses, then this is the best explanation of the Quran. Now, the second step, tafsir al-Quran bi ahadith al-nabawiyah. The explanation of the Quran according to the Prophet, peace be upon him. How did the Prophet, peace be upon him, explain to us these verses? That's the second step. Now the third step, tafsir al-Quran bi aqwal al-sahaba wa tabi'in. Then the next step is to explain the Quran according to the understanding of the companions and the first two generations. Then the fourth step, tafsir al-Quran bi Arabiyya lughawiyya. Right? Then the next step is to explain the Quran with the Arabic language. This is how we understand the Quran. And this is why I said to you right from the beginning, I don't accept translations. Because translations word by word. I go by interpretation. So now let's go back to chapter 4 verse 34. Right. Let's go back to chapter 4 verse 34. So let's apply these exegetical principles that I've just explained. Okay. So it says, وَضْرِبُهُنَّ. Beat them. Okay. Now, how did the Prophet, peace be upon him, explain to us this verse? He said, غَيْرِ مُبَرِّحٍ. Lightly. Ibn Abbas, how did he understood this verse? He gave it a demonstration of a two stick. And the Prophet said very clearly, do not leave any marks. Do not strike on their face. Yeah? So, whether you feel that, oh, what's the point of beating your wife lightly or not, I don't really care. But I'll still explain to you the wisdom behind that. Have you heard crime of passion?
Crime of passion.
Crime of passion. Okay, so for example, if a wife is caught of committing adultery, okay, the husband, if he caught his wife, someone in another bed, what does it usually happen? What does the husband usually do?
He might get angry and attack them.
Attack them, crime of passion. Now, do you know that according to this country, he has some excuse? But in the Quran, there's no excuse. Do you see the point? So that's why when Allah revealed this ayah, is to regulate the husband's behavior. That look, Allah understands that you've been patient towards your wife, you've done all the necessary steps required, but the least you can do to show to the wife that this is serious now is a tap. That's all you can do.
You know what? That's insulting my intelligence to say that. Because when we look at the other hadith, people are actually complaining. No one complains about a tap, right? What I'm saying, no one's complaining about it.
You see, this is where you're insincere. This is where you're insincere.
Can you let him finish?
Thank you.
Go on. This is where you're insincere.
I think it's good to listen to what they're saying.
Thank you.
And then we can.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm not being
very
insincere.
good. Yeah, of course.
No. Go ahead.
Let me be honest with you, man.
Go on.
Just share my
Of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
Go ahead.
But that's not what I'm getting from the text.
Yes.
Right? If people are going to...
Oh my days.
Come on, man.
Okay.
What a waste of time. Go on and carry on. Carry on.
Let me explain what I'm saying, right?
Carry on.
Something that I just want to verify. You might have said it before. I just want to verify.
Yes.
You say that there is 3 stages, right? But when I look at the translation, and you say don't go by translation,
Go ahead,
I'm
yes.
going by.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
go ahead.
Right? It says first, second, and third, right? Gives an order of events in which
Yes.
things happen, right?
Yes.
But is that true to the Quran? Can it happen simultaneously? That's
No,
what I'm
no,
asking.
no.
Could it happen,
No.
for example, could the man advise the woman at the same time not sleep with her and strike her?
No.
with the thing?
You do it in steps.
Okay, but I'm just saying, because when I look at my Quran, it says here that the steps are in brackets. So I'm just trying to understand if it says first in brackets, then it's the second in brackets,
Yeah.
and the third in brackets.
Because the Arabic language,
But
because
I'm
the Arabic
just trying to ascertain,
language.
is that something that's been inserted by people?
No.
Or is that true to the Quran?
No. If one understands the Arabic language,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes the English doesn't do the justice, so that's why they put the brackets.
Okay, so you're
do you see
saying,
the point?
just okay. So I'm going to go by
Yes.
what you said,
Yes.
right, and apply these brackets,
Yes.
right. But the thing that I find interesting here is
Yes.
this, right.
Go on.
The thing that I find interesting here, right,
Yeah.
that my friend said,
Go on.
if there are 3 stages, right,
Yes.
first you're advising,
Yes.
then you're not having intimate relations with the woman, right, the man is not having intimate...
No, you still have intimate relations at this step.
No, first he's advising,
Yes.
and then if they persist, he's not having intimate relations with the woman,
Yeah.
Yes.
right, and then
Yes.
after that he's beating her with toothpick.
Yes.
Okay.
How does that make sense?
I just gave you the
Right,
context.
and then when I showed you Sunan Abu Dawud,
Yes,
right,
yes.
in which Muhammad advises, it says you can beat the women that
You see,
become
you're being
involved.
selective
I'm
now.
not
Okay,
being
You're being
selective.
selective.
I'm not. One
You're
second,
being
Let
selective.
me get to the point.
Yeah,
and
of
then
course,
I'll
yeah.
Go on, get to the
back
point.
in.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
Get to the
I want to
point.
help my brother as well.
Because
Yeah.
remember,
Yes. Go on.
this is the same man, Muhammad, is saying these things.
Yes.
He said that they can beat these women. The
Yeah.
word beat was used.
Of course, it
right?
was.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And
It
then
was.
these women
Yeah.
complained. Right? Not just one woman, like he said in the beginning. Multiple women were complaining
The Prophet,
about getting beaten.
you see, he
right?
doesn't understand
So-
the
point
hadith.
that's been
Yeah.
made is that these women were getting beaten. If someone's getting beaten with a toothpick, who's going to complain?
No,
about
no,
that?
that's not what he
Okay,
says.
can I-
That's not what the hadith says.
So,
That's not what the hadith says. No, 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 no. Don't twist it.
I'm not twisting.
No, 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 no,
anything.
no, no, no,
I am
how-
no,
not
no,
twisting
no,
anything.
no, no, no.
You show me where it
give
says
me,
toothpick.
give me,
then.
give
Wait, hold
me.
on a second. You show me in this text where it says toothpick.
It doesn't.
From what? So why are you saying?
You didn't listen right from the beginning.
You were taking what?
No, 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 no. You didn't listen to me right from the beginning.
Hold on a second.
No,
I listened to you.
no, no, no,
You
no.
were taking.
No, no. It's a
Doesn't
separate.
care about interpretation.
No, 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 no.
What you're doing,
Chapter
basically-
4.
let me-
Wait,
hold on
wait.
a
1 second. 1 second.
I just
1
want to
second.
understand what you were saying. I want to
goodness
show you
me.
that I was listening. Right? You gave all of the. You gave all of the explanations about how you verify the Quran, or how you understand the Quran. You talk
Yes.
about tafsirs, talk about hadith, talk about scholars,
Yes.
all that sort of stuff, right?
Yes.
And then and the companions of Muhammad. You
Yes.
talked about stuff. I
Yes.
was listening to what you were
Good,
saying.
good.
Right? But what's happened here is that those things have been inserted into the Quran here. In my version, it says to strike them. Brackets like.
No, no. You're confused. No, no. You see, this is why.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Tim, right? Tim.
Yeah.
Tim,
Hold on a
you're
second.
conflating.
Hold on a
You're actually
second.
conflating.
Let me
You're
just-
confused.
can I just one second? Can I
Go
say
on,
one
go
thing
on.
if you don't mind?
Yeah,
If
let
you
me
don't
just-
mind.
I said right from the beginning.
Finish what you want to say.
I'm losing my breath.
Finish,
Let me
finish,
say
go on
one-
then.
let me say
I
my
wanna
last
say something,
point,
if you don't
right?
mind, yeah.
Go on
So
then.
what's happened is it looks like what people have done, right, is taking things that suits them and say, actually, we're gonna
Correct,
make-
yes. That's what happens most of the time.
No,
People-
that's what you did.
Listen, most people, they'll take things
Yeah.
to suit their needs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because
So,
for me, it seems
can
like
I just say,
if someone is complaining about...
I'm gonna
let me just
spend
say
2
this last
minutes.
point.
I'm gonna spend 2
I'll let
minutes
you
to say
explain. Let me just say one
Yes,
last thing.
go
I
ahead.
want you to consider this.
Yes.
If women are complaining,
yes.
right, about being beaten, then is that a beating that's like what you're
So
describing?
if they're complaining,
what the
if-
Prophet
if they're-
said? What did he say?
If they're complaining about their husband, so the
Yes.
husband is not righteous.
Exactly.
He's not following what God told him. to
Yes.
do. So he's not righteous, that person.
So this
Anyway,
hadith, exactly.
can I-
Barakallah
can
fiik,
I-
barakallah
can I
fiik.
just
Jazakallah
rewind a
khair.
little bit?
Okay.
Jazakallah
You
khair.
brought a verse.
Yes.
It's very controversial. As a Muslim,
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time understanding it because it says exactly in the Quran, "Idrobuhun."
Yes.
Idrobuhun means strike them.
Yeah.
If I had struck them, it means I go.
Exactly,
them.
exactly.
Okay. So what I did, I want to know the word strike in Arabic is darb.
Yes.
If you look at the Quran, darb is used a lot of time.
Correct.
Darb means give an example.
Yeah.
Adrabu metal. Give an example.
وَضْرِبَ لَهُ مَثْلًا أَصْحَابَ
Yes.
الْقَرْيَةِ. Yeah, exactly.
So darb is used in different contexts. So you pick the context where it says hit. Remember, and
You yourself has said that.
even darb,
You
if
yourself
darb in
have said
Arabic.
that.
No, we don't deny it's a physical strike. We don't deny that.
Yeah.
It's the degree. It's the degree.
Even darb.
That's the point.
Let me. Even darb in Arabic means
A
leave.
contact. Exactly.
In Arabic, darb means I need to leave.
Exactly.
So some people, I believe that darb means to leave them. If they're not listening to you, you can
Yes.
leave. Maybe
Yes.
divorce. But doesn't mean physically sit and hit them.
Exactly. That's
So
what.
people,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
scholars they said, well,
Yeah.
it might mean take a stick and hit them with it.
No. That's confirmed. That's confirmed.
See,
We
that's
don't
why I
deny.
said-
When you
Yeah.
say that,
We don't deny. We don't. No.
Imagine,
One second.
That was the point of the
Yes,
conversation.
conversation.
Was that.
So maybe-
Doesn't matter if it says lightly.
Yes,
I give it
see,
to you.
I see what you.
I give it to
Because
you.
it's
Then that's
physical
all.
violence.
But you-
allowing,
but
it's
you missed-
allowing
It's violence.
light
No,
punishment.
yeah, of course.
No, of course.
Because light is.
I'm not saying
I
that's
see-
what I believe.
listen,
I'm saying I can concede
I
that. can
I agree with you because light is subjective.
Exactly.
Because
So how
light
did?
could be to me like this, but for you it's
Exactly. So that's why the
Can I
companion.
give you a little
Yeah,
bit
go
of
ahead.
reasoning?
Yeah,
Go on,
So
go
you
on.
are saying that the text is complicated to understand.
No, it's not
Said
complicated.
No.
No.
Because
Say
Arabic
that
is a rich
it is
language.
controversial.
I explained to
Arabic
you.
Listen,
I
Arabic
expl-
is a rich language.
It took him a while to come to this understanding.
Conclusion.
Yes, so
Arabic
it's not
is
that
very-
clear.
You say that. It
Yeah,
took
yeah,
you a
yeah.
while.
that clear.
Yeah, because if I read strike there, if you strike hit.
No. Exactly.
See,
That's
I
why.
told
but
me
I have
that
to-
there are
I shouldn't be
19
taken out of
meanings for
context.
Yeah.
19 levels for
I
the
said
word darba.
I said that at the beginning.
Good.
So
I said at the beginning, but you didn't
I don't want
listen.
to hit both.
Yeah, of course,
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah,
You
Okay,
see,
right. So
I don't remember.
right, let me
but someone told me.
Right.
Okay, can I address what
Of
you're
course,
saying?
yes, of course, yes.
So, let's say you have admitted that the text is a little bit controversial.
The text, I said the verse controversial amongst
verse.
people.
Yeah.
Because I don't know
was to you.
Arabic very well.
It was
Arabic
to
is
you.
very rich.
It
Yes,
was to
objective
you.
to me.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And he told me before that there are 19 meanings or 19 levels for the word darba.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's complicated. I can accept it. Words are complicated.
Sure.
But let's say that there's a narrative in the text. The narrative is an escalation of
Yes.
events.
Yes.
Correct.
Even.
Yes.
Correct.
First step, if your wife is not righteous to you, if you feel you don't need evidence, if you feel that, you do one thing. If she continues in her behavior, you go to step 2. We are talking about escalation.
Escalation, correct.
Now, of the 19 meanings
Yes.
the word darba encompasses,
Yes.
it must be a heavy one.
Yes.
Because the narrative is leading to the heaviest possibility.
So,
No. That's your interpretation.
Imagine
No, I
that-
didn't. No.
It's
Imagine.
worse than the second
One
you
moment.
said that before.
Imagine that means to leave them, and leave is divorce. Divorce is very heavy.
So is that about divorce?
Yeah, it does say at the look. Let me.
It could be. So you don't know what it's about.
Look, you're not
So
quoting.
you don't know what it's
You
about,
see,
but you know that it's not about
do you know
what
verse
I'm saying.
35? Do you know verse 35?
Tell me.
Oh, you see the point.
Well, you got
Right. Let me give you. I'll give you the translation. The next verse says that if there's no result, if there's no resolution, then you get a hakam, an arbitrator from his side
Correct, yes.
and an arbitrator from her side. Now,
Okay.
imagine this.
So what you're saying
Wait,
is that
hang
there's
on.
possibility of
Yes,
divorce.
yeah. So exactly.
Three steps and divorce.
Exactly.
Still, you
Now
have the
let's
first
go.
step.
Let's go by your interpretation. Yeah. Now the meaning is stronger. So proper domestic. Yeah. Proper hit. I mean, imagine imagine you use your logic here. You use your logic here. Yeah. If the husband beat his wife so severely there's bruise, right? Why would the wife's father arbitrate? He would straight away say, no, this is not acceptable. I'm going to get divorced. So therefore, I don't really care about your interpretation, my interpretation. How did he gave a demonstration. What does it mean? Which is just a tap. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't go beyond that. This is why I explained to you the exegetical principles right from the beginning, because I don't blame you. Because understand the Quran, many non-Muslims do not know how to understand the Quran properly. I understand that. But after I explained to you the exegetical principles, I've given you the evidence that the Prophet said غير مبرح, and I gave you the explanation of Ibn Abbas, who is the interpreter of the Quran, that it means using a siwak. Then what's the dispute? Now, whether you think it's effective or not, I don't really care. That's the point. Now, I'm still going to give you a wisdom why Allah permitted the husband to reject. Do you know why? Crime of passion. Imagine the husband finds his wife sleeping with another guy. What would happen to the husband? Not only beat, he would kill her. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's reprimanding the husband. Okay, if you are in a fit of rage, the least you can do is this, nothing else. Very, very simple. Now the hadith that you go. Now I want to address to.
Talk about fine.
I want to address to his hadith.
Okay.
I want to address to this hadith. This hadith is very explicit that the Prophet peace be upon him said they're not the best husbands among you. He's referring to those who are not righteous husbands.
Okay.
He's referring to the abusive husband. But the ayah chapter 4 verse 34, this 3-step, it doesn't apply to abusive husband. It applies to a righteous husband who still does his duty. He supports his wife morally, financially, psychologically, but the wife is not being righteous. Do you see? So the two cases are separate. Your hadith has got nothing to do with chapter 4, verse 34. It's a separate case.
Just to make it clear, the reason why I brought that hadith goes back to when you said it was one woman making the complaint.
I understand.
That's why I brought up, because there was multiple
Fair enough.
women in this hadith making a complaint, and within this hadith, Muhammad.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
is
enough.
it Rayhan?
Yes, Rayhan. Yeah, Tim.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
nice one.
We got it here. Now,
Yeah.
can I speak about the Bible for 1 second?
I think that's
In the Bible, in the Gospel of Matthew,
yeah.
according to Christianity, can a woman file for divorce?
To my knowledge, no.
Yes, there is. There's a condition. What's the condition of the Christian wife for divorce? On the grounds of her husband showing infidelity, adultery.
Adultery.
Now, let's say, for example, and I mean, this is, yeah, it is. It's in the Gospel of Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the women's side as well.
Now, let's just say,
I thought it was only on the man's side.
now in Islam,
Wait, hold on a
It doesn't
second.
talk
Okay.
about which gender. It talks about men. Well, okay.
no, but it's talking about a marriage, yeah? Okay. Now, in the Quran and in Islam, a wife can file for divorce. There's actually a full chapter called Surah Talaq, Surah 65, divorce. Okay. But according to the Bible, according to Christianity, can a Christian wife file for divorce if the husband's been abusive and he commit adultery?
I can tell you that, for example, according I think to 1 Peter or 2 Peter 3, it says that because the Bible doesn't address the topic of husbands can beat their wives, yes or not. Because according to one of Peter's letters, if the husband talks bad and kindly to his wife, God won't listen to the husband's prayer. So, and in the context, what he's saying is that there's a spiritual divorce between God and the husband when the husband doesn't speak kindly to the wife. So it doesn't even go to beating. Just by
I never mentioned about beating.
yeah, but I'm just talking to you like abuse. You said abuse.
Abuse could be emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse. That's
The
not being
Bible
open.
just addresses verbal abuse.
Okay, let's say that.
Verbal
Okay,
abuse.
wait, hang on. So let's say the Christian husband.
can I say one thing before I leave? Honestly,
go on,
one
brother.
line.
Faddal.
So our Prophet
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
is our best example.
Yes.
So we want to ask him, Prophet, does hit means hit a woman? What did he say? No.
No.
So we all agree that
No,
means both.
they've understood.
Yes.
Now we're going to the Bible.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Anyway,
Now,
Assalamu
wa alaikum assalam, barakallahu feek. So the point is that according to Christianity and according to the words of Jesus, he says that only on the grounds of adultery of the husband, the wife can only get divorced. So if the Christian husband is being abusive towards his wife, but he's not committing adultery, can the wife file for divorce? Yes or no?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says that a woman cannot file for divorce unless the husband committed adultery. If the husband has not committed adultery, but he's been abusive towards his wife, beating her up, womanizer, can the woman file for divorce?
Okay, can I answer that question?
Sure. And that's very
what's the
complicated.
context? Do you know the context?
Yeah, it's
of
in
that?
Matthew chapter 5.
It's in Matthew, but that's not the context. The
Okay, you
context-
give me the context.
Yeah, okay. So in Israel, there were two schools of teaching about divorce. The Hamai school and the Gamaliel school. So one said that a husband could divorce his wife, even if the wife cooked badly. So a husband could go to a rabbi or to the Sanhedrin saying, my wife doesn't cook well, I want to divorce. And he was allowed. Then there was another school saying different things.
What did they
The
say?
point, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, go on,
That's
go
it,
on.
but it was Gamaliel and Hamai, I think.
Okay.
Two schools. Then Jesus addresses that context, these two schools. And what Jesus says is that you can't divorce your wife because you want.
No.
So it's the context of adultery.
No. I'm talking about the wife is not allowed to file for divorce unless the husband commits adultery. So there's a condition. She's not allowed to file for divorce unless the husband is caught for committing adultery. So my question is, hang on. My question is, if the husband is abusive towards his wife, yeah, beating her up, domestic violence towards the wife, and he's not committing adultery, can the wife get divorced according to the sayings of Jesus, yes or no?
Okay. The text is assuming divorce. You know why? Because when you
The
read
text, sorry, say again?
The context assumes divorce. I'm trying to explain the context. The context is someone saying that Moses, God allowed divorce even in the Old Testament. What Jesus is saying is that marriage was never meant for divorce. Was never meant for divorce. But the law of divorce is there. Because of sin, because of abuse, as you say, God allowed people, even in the law of Moses.
But does God allow the wife who's been abused by the husband, but he's not committed adultery, does God allow the wife for divorce, yes or no?
It talks about the concept of
No, yes or no? Yes or no?
Show me then that it's just about one gender, not the other.
Okay.
can I answer this? But
Yeah, okay, sorry.
No, you're can I answer you, Rehan, from my opinion?
I don't want your opinion. I want
I'm gonna give you my
I want the teachings of Christianity. That's the evidence.
Teachers of Christianity.
Yes.
Christian marriages.
Yeah. I with all due respect, I don't.
Let me explain
Yeah.
it from
Go on.
what you're mentioning about marriage needs to be understood properly, because from my understanding, to my knowledge, the woman is not allowed to initiate divorce. Rehan, can I get your attention?
Okay, now chapter 5 verse 31, Matthew.
Can I get your attention?
It has been said, Jesus said, it has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you, Jesus said, but I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except, here's the condition, the husband is not allowed to file divorce to his wife except for sexual immorality. So if the wife is except for sexual immorality, makes her the victim of adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. So we have two problems. So no one is allowed to get married to a divorced woman.
I'm gonna say something to you in a second. So
That's in the
according
Bible.
to Jesus, marrying a divorced woman is adultery. That's exactly what Muhammad taught.
But what has the divorced woman done?
That's exactly
No,
what
no,
Muhammad
give me evidence. Give me evidence.
Okay.
Give me evidence.
Yeah.
We're going to stick to the Bible here. Let me read it again. Let me read it again.
I'll give
no.
you evidence. Let me give you
Okay,
evidence.
in the meantime,
Muhammad,
then you bring
hold on a
it. In
second.
the meantime,
I know it off by heart.
we're not going to shift it. We're not going to shift.
Not going to shift. I'll come back to it.
Jesus
Fine.
says, it has been said,
Just said, give me the evidence.
and
That guy was
I know, so why do you bring evidence? I'm going to read it. No problem.
I'll tell you
No
now,
problem.
you know the story.
No problem.
Did not Muhammad marry his adopted son's ex-wife?
What's that got to do with not allowing to get
So
a divorced woman?
if
You
look at
do know she was divorced.
Yeah, but you're laughing.
Zainab bin Jahsh.
You're laughing.
Hang on. All right, let me see if he knows. Who did? Wait, hang on. Zainab bin Jahsh, right? Wasn't she divorced? Wasn't she divorced? So the Prophet married to a divorced woman.
Hear my argument. You hear what you just read, what Jesus said. Anyone who marries a divorced woman is committing adultery. You make her an adulterer because she's divorced.
So what have? Wait. So if no, he didn't.
He didn't.
Zainab bin Jahsh. No, Zainab bin Jahsh. Zainab bin Jahsh. Wait, Zainab bin Jahsh got married with Zayd. With Zayd, yeah. Now, wait 1 second. Wait. Zainab bin Jahsh is a divorced woman, and the Prophet married. So therefore, it's refuted. It contradicts what he says. Second, no. But let's take one at a time. It's okay, Tim. Now I'm going to read it again. Jesus says in Matthew. I'm not going to let you go. Matthew chapter 5 verse 31.
I'm not running away.
Okay, go on.
I'm not running away.
Go on.
Can you just confirm for me,
Yes.
that Muhammad married his adopted son's
He wasn't
ex-wife?
an adopted son, and she was divorced.
Yes.
Can that not penetrate your skull?
That's
Exactly.
exactly what I'm trying to prove. Is she was divorced, right? He married a divorced woman.
So,
according to Jesus,
right, according to Jesus,
that's
what?
wrong.
No, I don't care. We don't believe in that. That's the point, Tim. That's according to you. Now, I'm going.
Hold on.
Oh, wait.
I know that. But
Wait.
You confirm
Why should I? Wait.
Can I, because I have to leave soon, so
Wait,
I want to address what you said.
Okay, it has been said anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. Wait, it has been said anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But are you listening? Yes. Chapter 5 verse 31, Matthew. It has been said anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality makes her the victim of adultery, and anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now I have two problems here.
Married a divorced woman.
That's a problem for me.
Adultery.
That's a problem for me.
That's literally what Muhammad did.
Okay. So
That's literally.
no.
I just explained that.
No. You refuted. Now,
How is
now
that?
I got two
No.
problems.
Don't you say I was refuted. I literally explained to you.
Calm down, Tim.
I literally explained to you.
You see, the moment I bring up the Bible, you want to bring up the Quran. You want to bring up the Hadith.
Okay, what I don't understand.
Wait.
What I don't
Yeah.
understand is you're judging the Prophet sallallahu
Based on the teachings of Christ, yes.
You don't conform to
I don't
your
care.
rule.
So why do you call Christ the Messiah then?
I don't care. I don't care about your Bible. I'm just saying I have a problem with this verse.
Okay.
Now, would you allow me to explain why I have a problem with this verse? Okay, so Jesus says anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. If a woman got divorced because her husband committed adultery and she was faithful towards her husband, what is the fault of divorced woman? How has she committed adultery?
Islamic logic.
No, answer the question. How has she committed adultery? She got divorced because her husband committed adultery, and yet anyone marries a divorced woman commits adultery. What has the divorced woman done? Answer the question. No. I want him to answer because he understood. No, Tim. Don't bring him in the hadith. Answer the question. No. Answer the question.
I'm answering.
No, but I want him to respond. It says anyone who marries a divorced woman.
I don't want it to break down.
No, Tim.
I don't want this to break down.
No. I know you're smirking. I know. Now, anyone. No. I know. I've got experience. I've been coming here for 3 years. Anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now, can you give me a chance to tell me why I have a problem with this verse? Can you?
Yeah,
Just like you had a problem with chapter 4, verse 34, which I answered. Right. Now, anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. If a woman got divorced because her husband was caught committing adultery and she was faithful towards her husband, and if she wants to get married again, why is she committing adultery?
A divorced woman. So first of all, you addressed something before.
Now, I want the second part, then we go to the first part.
Why is talking about gender?
Yes.
Verse 3 says, some Pharisees approached him, Jesus, to test him. They asked, it is lawful for a man to divorce his wife on any grounds? That's the question.
Yeah, but I'm talking about chapter 5, verse 31.
This is a question.
What has the divorced woman done?
Is it lawful?
What has she done?
Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife on any grounds? So they are asking, the question is already conflated.
But Jesus corrects you. Jesus refines it. He amends it. That's the point. You want to go back to what the Mosaic law says, but Jesus is refining the Mosaic law. Doesn't matter. My point is, okay, chapter 5, verse 32, Matthew. Anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now, I want you to answer the question because you got to be fair that I answered all of your questions regarding the chapter 4, verse 34. So do the courtesy back of answering my question. Now, anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Okay, if a woman got divorced on the grounds that her husband committed adultery, but the wife has been faithful towards him, and she got divorced and she wants to remarry to another guy, why is she committing adultery? How's that fair?
Can I respond to that? According to that text that you were reading, right, as far as I understand it, the woman doesn't have grounds to divorce her husband if he's being sexually immoral. So the premise of your question the premise of your question is wrong. The man has the right, from how I understand, I'm making it very
Why
clear.
does the husband have the right?
I'm making it clear. I'm making it clear. This is from my perspective, right? That the man, remember what you said before, how you said that it's addressed to men in this particular text, right? That's how I understand it, right? So your question, if it's understood in the way that I understand it, doesn't make sense then. So
No, you're not answering my question. You're not answering my question. If a man marries a divorced woman, he commits adultery. But if it doesn't say that. It says divorced woman, which means she's no longer married. The point is here is saying that anyone who marries. No, I'm going by your Bible. Anyone who marries, and I'm not going to let you off the hook. You're going to have to answer the question. Anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Now, a divorced woman. What? Let me. I have a problem with this verse because if a woman got divorced from a previous marriage because she was loyal towards her husband and the husband's adultery, right? Why is she committing adultery for remarrying?
I see what you're saying.
What's the fault of the divorced woman? What's her fault?
Well, from how I can understand it.
How's that just?
How I
tell you, whoever divorces his wife except sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery.
Why?
The one who commits adultery is the one.
Right.
Is the one who divorces.
But why? Why can't you get? Why can't a woman get remarried?
So it's 19 verse 9. And I tell you, whoever divorces his wife,
yes.
He's talking about men,
yes.
except for sexual immorality,
yes.
and marries another.
So therefore, it justifies a husband to beat his wife.
What?
That means the woman can't file for divorce. That's the point.
He's assuming divorce because he's saying that.
No. That's another problem I have. That's another problem I have. Yes.
In our scriptures, it doesn't teach husbands to be their wives.
I'm not saying that. Did I say that? Did I say that?
Hold on a second, because
it doesn't prohibit either.
No. This is where you're. Come on, bro. like, it doesn't teach.
You still are not answering my question.
Hold on a second, right? Because
Go, carry on.
what you're trying to get at is to try and use this text to teach that it's okay for men to beat their wives. That's what you're trying to teach.
No.
Right?
I'm saying,
If I understood you well,
Yes.
what you're trying to say is that
No, not a lie.
if the husband,
sorry.
for example, if I understood you well,
Yes.
if the husband is the one who commits
adultery.
sexual immorality,
Yes.
and then
no, he
gets
doesn't
divorced,
commit sexual immorality, but he's been abusive towards his wife. Can the wife file for divorce?
Yeah, because it states
How?
that there
If the
is
wife,
the law of Moses.
but it says only on the grounds of sexual immorality, he has to be divorced. If he doesn't commit sexual immorality, he can't divorce the wife.
The question is asked by men, just by men.
No. No, he says
gender.
a man doesn't have the right to divorce his wife unless on the grounds of sexual immorality. So that means if he doesn't commit sexual immorality, then he's not allowed to divorce the wife. So that means he can beat her up, and the wife doesn't have the
I
right.
already told you what happens, and I already told you what happens in 2 Peter. That when a
2
husband,
Peter, a forgery.
Yeah, I think it's 1st or 2 Peter.
They're
chapter
both
3.
forged.
Like,
That when a,
so the gospel's not a forgery then?
Yes.
So you're saying that the gospel's not a forgery?
Who is?
Have the gospel.
You would rather you would rather go.
You never said that
okay.
this was a forgery.
Okay.
Now we say 2 Peter, you say forgery.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you saying,
Fair enough.
No, wait, hold on a second. Are you saying that this is not a forgery?
I believe the whole Bible. I believe the Gospels.
Singling out
All right,
2 Peter.
I'll take that back.
Thank you.
Now, Peter. Why does Peter have the authority to interpret when you have the words of Jesus?
because Jesus
Remember,
gave
he said,
authority
remember
to
what he said
Peter.
about companionship?
And where's your evidence for
Yeah,
that?
no.
Where-
You don't care about interpretation.
Where's your
Peter-
evidence? Where's your
wasn't Peter
evidence?
his
Where's your
companion?
evidence?
Because
See
you
how
have
he's
in the
running
gospel,
away.
so you are using the gospel
Graham,
of
this is not being
Matthew,
honest,
but in
man.
those very gospels,
Who authored
Jesus
Matthew?
gave authority. Sorry?
Who authored Matthew?
So you want to deflect?
It's not in Mark, by the way. It's in Matthew.
You said that according to Islam.
No, I'm
right?
going to
You go
scrutinize.
by the
I'm going to
Tasbih,
scrutinize.
You have
the
used
colours,
Matthew.
I'm going to
the scholars,
scrutinize.
the companions of
What you
Muhammad,
have the words of
by the
Jesus.
Bible.
You have the sayings gospel. You have the words of Jesus, which is very explicit that anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Why? I mean, this is like this is unfair on the divorced woman. What has she done wrong? And what has the husband done wrong for getting married to a divorced woman? What's wrong with that?
According to the teachings of Jesus.
No. I want you to please answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Why is it morally wrong for a husband to remarry a divorced woman?
You are assuming
Yes.
that according to Matthew, then husbands can beat their wives and wives have
That's
no
what I
right
mean. That's
to
what I mean.
divorce.
Yes.
What I'm telling you is that Peter addresses that a husband who talks harshly to his wife.
But you have the words of
No.
Jesus here. Why are you going Peter?
You don't listen to interpretations
Ah.
to people.
Now you
are
understand,
asking
isn't
me-
it?
Yeah, but you are saying,
Okay.
you are saying that
Okay.
Peter is not a valid source for you
I'm
when
gonna-
I'm telling you that.
Is it
when
in
you
first-
go to-
wait,
Can I
wait.
finish?
Okay,
Can
go
I-
on, go
can I
on.
finish?
Carry on.
But when you go to the
Yes,
end
yes.
of the Gospel of Matthew,
Yes.
Jesus says to Peter
Yes.
and to his disciples, you have authority. I've been given authority in heaven and on earth,
Yeah.
and now you can go and make disciples.
Right.
And also in the Gospel of John says that you don't know everything.
So what's Peter's explanation
After
for this part?
That even if the husband, so if you're talking about the letter that I say,
No. How did Peter understood what Jesus says? Anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery.
well, for example, when you go to the letter that I told you, Peter says that even if you speak harshly, if husbands speak harshly to their wives, God won't listen.
No, he's
to the
talking about
husband's
divorce.
prayer.
No, it's about divorce.
So, but I'm talking
You're talking about someone who's
principles.
married. I'm
talking
saying
about
remarrying to a
principles.
divorced woman.
No. Your question is that God is happy with husbands that beat wives.
No.
According to your interpretation.
No. How did no? Jesus says anyone who marries a divorced woman. If I get married to divorce, according to this, if I get married to a divorced woman, I committed adultery.
So for you,
Right,
adultery is by marrying the
That's
wrong
according to
person.
Jesus. If I get married to a divorced woman, and the divorced woman wants to remarry to someone else, why am I not allowed to get married to a divorced woman?
What's the question in verse 3
Verse 3 of what?
of Matthew 19?
But this is Matthew 5.
Oh, you're in Matthew 5.
This is Matthew
talking about
5. This is the
19.
Sermon on the Mount.
Okay,
I don't know what you're
that's
talking
why
about.
Okay.
Okay?
But anyway,
So
there's
wait,
a
no.
balance as well.
No. I'm asking you, what is morally wrong for me to get married to a divorced woman, and why have I committed adultery?
Give me your reference, please, 'cause I was in
Matthew chapter 5, verse 31 to 32.
Okay, because I was in Matthew 19.
You're right, son. How are you?
Oh, hello, Georgia. How are you?
Nice to
Good?
see you,
Yeah,
man.
nice to see you, Joe. Nice to see you.
Meet the Christians.
Yeah, we'll go soon.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
You're right. Okay.
I still want the answer. What is wrong with me getting married to a divorced woman, and why have I committed adultery, and why does Jesus have a problem with divorced women? In Islam,
You have to marry
a divorced woman is allowed to get married. A man is allowed to get married to a divorced woman.
Looks at a woman.
woman who got divorced or widow,
Yeah.
she has to get married first.
Correct.
Then the virgin.
Yeah.
You know, because she makes
Exactly.
straight. You know, yeah.
It also says whoever divorces his wife must give her a written notice of divorce.
Yes.
But I tell you, everyone who divorces his wife, except in a case of sexual immorality,
Exactly.
causes her to commit adultery.
Good.
And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery.
Good. So I have two problems with this.
Yeah.
So a husband is not allowed to get married, a husband is not allowed to divorce his wife unless on the grounds of sexual immorality. My first problem is this. If that husband has not committed adultery, but he's abusing his wife, can the wife get divorced?
Can I answer that? I'll be honest with
Go
you.
on, go on.
I would say no. But
Why?
let me explain something to you.
Wow.
Let me explain
Did you hear that?
something-
Did you hear that?
Let me explain.
Do you agree
something
with-
to
do you agree with
let
him?
Let me explain
I don't
something.
exactly, but I respect his
Let me
opinion.
explain something to you. Like I
Okay.
said, this is my opinion. It's not representative of the church.
Okay.
Right? Let me just explain to you. You're assuming the setting of the married couple that they're going to be living in the same house while the abuse is going on. If a husband's abusing their wife and they're under Christianity, then the husband himself is going to go through a disciplinary procedure.
Where is
So-
that?
Well, we can show you. I can show you in scripture.
No, only on the grounds of sexual immorality. If he commits adultery,
Yeah. I'm giving you the answer.
Go on, then. Go on. Apologies. Go on.
Let me just explain it.
All right.
Right. If a husband is mistreating his wife,
Yes.
then he's not going according to the teachings of Christ, right? Because we're meant to love our wives as ourselves, right? Also, he says that Jesus Christ teaches that the husband and the wife, become one flesh, and
what if the husband is not nice?
if he's not nice,
But he's not committing adultery.
No, but if the husband is abusing the woman,
Yes.
right, it doesn't necessarily mean that the woman has to remain in that household.
Give me evidence.
And well, why would you assume that?
No.
Why do you
Because
assume
because it gives you the allowance.
Yeah.
Because it
Why
gives you
can't the woman-
it gives you the
Hold on a
condition.
second. Why can't
that
the woman?
no the
Wait, hold on
husband
a second.
the husband
Why
cannot
can't the woman report her husband to the
the
police
husband cannot
for domestic
wait hang on
violence? Wait, Rehan.
go on.
You're making a point. You're using this point,
Yes.
right, about divorce and stuff.
Okay.
Hold on,
Okay, go
hold
on.
You tried to say that if a woman's being beaten
Yes.
badly in her marriage, right, by her husband, she's just stuck there.
Okay.
She just has to walk into an abusive home every single day and be beaten and beaten and beaten.
That's what it implies.
No,
You
it
can.
doesn't imply
Okay,
that.
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why.
Let me tell you why it doesn't imply that.
You just
Because-
said no. You just said
No,
said
I
no.
said about the divorce. It doesn't necessarily
No, no.
mean that he stays.
No.
Listen, Ray,
If
let
the
me-
wait, hang
let
on.
me finish my point. Just listen to my point, right? Because you've gone
We'll go.
You've gone very, very far with this little bit of text.
Okay, I'll explain
Right?
to you. No problem.
You're assuming that this woman, right, who I would say can't get divorced, right, has to remain in that circumstance where she's subject to
Unless she
abuse.
commits adultery.
No.
Yes, that's what it says.
No, it
Can you read it
doesn't say
again?
that.
Can you
No,
read it again?
doesn't.
Can you read it
Why
again?
do you think-
Can
what
you
makes
please
you
read it
believe-
again? Can you read it again?
Dude,
free to go.
I'm saying.
Can you read it again?
Listen to what I'm saying. Let me explain myself.
But I'm not going to let you carry on if you're butchering the words of Jesus.
Don't you dare say that.
Then
Don't you
do
dare
justice
say that.
then.
Don't you dare
Oh,
say
I'm going
that.
to. All right. No.
Seriously.
If the no. The only time the husband can file divorce to the
I'm not
wife
talking
if
about
she is
divorce.
guilty of immorality,
Dude, I'm
if
not
she's guilty of
talking-
adultery.
Rehan, I'm
Now,
not
if she's
talking
being,
about
no,
divorce.
wait.
I'm not talking about divorce.
Tim.
1 second.
No, I am talking about divorce.
Yeah, but I'm making a point, right? You're talking about abuse. right? And I'm saying that a woman who's been abused by a husband doesn't have to stay in the same household.
You can. I'll tell you why. Because Jesus says that the husband is not allowed to file for divorce unless.
Divorce is different to separation.
No,
Married couple live in two different places.
one second. You can still be married and separated.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it says divorce. No, but it says divorce. The point.
Divorce is an annulment of a covenant made with
I
God.
agree.
Right.
Now,
So you
what
become one
right
flesh.
now? Wait. So, if the husband does not have the right to divorce his wife unless she committed adultery. Now, I'm giving a scenario which is very realistic today. We know that domestic violence happens, right? That particularly there are women who are being beaten up by the husband, but she cannot file for divorce and she cannot get out of that abusive marriage unless she commits adultery.
Then explain that.
Now you tell me, how's that just?
So, but I'm going to compare now the morals of Islam.
No.
According to the Islam. And I'm gonna use-
No.
and I'm gonna
No.
use
It's going to
your
stand. No,
question.
you're going to have
Your
to stand on
question.
its leg.
So-
No, I'm asking you again.
trying to
Don't bring
stand
Islam.
on
I didn't bring Christianity when I answered the question.
I'm being
No.
fair.
No.
You're
No. What's your name? Sorry.
You don't need to respond.
What's your name? You don't have to tell me your real name. I just need to. Right. What's your
We'll
name?
be fair.
What's your name? Hang on. He knows. Look, Tim. He knows what I'm talking about. I don't think you do. No. Jesus said, I'm going to read. No, I want him to answer. Can you remain silent for a bit? Then you can speak. Thank you very much. Because you still haven't given me the answer. Right. Now, Jesus says that the husband is not allowed to file for divorce unless she is guilty of sexual immorality. Now, if a wife is in an abusive marriage, that he's beaten her up, he's not giving her rights, right? Unless she commits adultery, can she get out of that marriage? Yes or no?
So what you want to do is a kind of maze to find that in a way God hasn't provided.
Answer the
us a-
question.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
The only way, you're not answering the question.
That's what I'm doing.
Let him answer.
That's what I'm doing.
You may not like the answer, but let him answer.
That's what I'm doing. So you're assuming in a way that in Christianity, abusive husbands are allowed to stay.
But it
in
does
marriage,
allow.
and there's no solution for that.
We heard you.
Okay.
Come on, man.
So
Wow.
when you go to one of Peter's letters, I think it's 2 Peter 3, verse 15. So it says, you see the moral of God. So you see what God thinks, and that's what.
What's
God
that got to
entrusted-
do with divorce?
Yes.
That's got nothing to do with
that's the
divorce.
moral- that's the
No,
moral of
no.
God.
Peter is
That's the
saying,
moral
be
of God.
kind
That's
towards
what
your
God-
wife, blah, blah, blah. No, Jesus is prescribing about a divorce. When can divorce happen? He says that a husband is not allowed to divorce his wife unless she commits adultery. Now, if an abusive wife, the only way that she can get out of the abusive marriage is she commits adultery. That's the only time that she can get out of the marriage.
Yeah, but you haven't.
How's that fair?
Yeah, you
How-
haven't
how's
listened
that-
to
how's that
context.
fair?
No, but then
How's
you
that fair?
can't even get remarried. That's the thing.
No, not about remarriage. That's another thing.
Let me explain.
No,
Let me
that
explain.
what I've understood.
I've understood your point. Let me explain because I'm raising my voice to try and get.
But I want him to respond.
But he's responding. You're cutting him.
No,
wanna respond?
because he's
Okay,
not.
let him- want my
let him
response?
No, let me make my claim very clearly. Jesus says a man doesn't have the right to divorce his wife unless she committed sexual immorality. Now, if there is a scenario where a wife is experiencing domestic violence from her husband, she is now trapped. She's thinking the only way that I can get my husband divorce me and I need to get out of this abusive marriage is committing sexual immorality.
Can I address the answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And even if it's a bit long, because I will tackle it from different angles.
Okay, go on then.
Yeah?
Go on.
I'll go on. So, first of all, the ontological moral of God in regards to human relationships. Second Peter, I think it's 2 Peter 3:15, but it's in one of Peter's letters. If the husband, so the Bible doesn't address even domestic violence, because according to Peter, if the husband speaks harshly to his wife, God won't listen the husband's prayer. Which means that there's a kind of divorce between God and the husband, which is very big. That's the moral. That's the moral of God. That's how God sees marriage. So it's not even going to domestic violence. It's just words. That's what God says. That's what Peter says. If you speak harshly to your wife, God won't listen to your prayers. So you don't even have to go to beating wife.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to Matthew, whether you talk about Matthew 5 or Matthew 19, it is the same author. So the author encompasses and englobes and bears in mind that what happens in chapter 5 makes sense also in accordance to chapter 19. It's the same author. So chapter 5 wasn't written by one guy, chapter by another guy. It was the same author. The author knows exactly the topic. When you go to chapter 19, when you go to chapter 19, the question is asked by Pharisees. The Pharisees were men, and they asked him, if a man does this and that, Jesus addresses the answer according to the gender that asks the question. Also, you can't deny that, it's impossible to divorce. No, Jesus is saying, you were given freedom to divorce according to the law of Moses because of your sin. But what he's stating is that the value of marriage, the ideal of marriage is this: husband, wife, forever.
Yes.
Just adultery is the only thing that breaks and there's no solution.
Okay.
But it's not saying that
Right.
if your husband beats...
I've read 1 Peter 3. You missed the part where it says, wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands. So that's the first prescription. The first prescription was given to the wife to submit to the husband. Then the part you say, husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. Now, let's say, hypothetically speaking, the wife has submitted to her husband. She's done her duty. Okay?
What's the duty of the man?
Yeah. Wait. Let's say, for example, the husband. Let me try and get it right. Let me try and get the right word. So there's a condition. There's a condition that the wife has to submit to the husband, and the husband has to be kind towards the wife. But what has that got to do with the permission or only circumstances to get divorced? Because Jesus says very clearly, a man does not have the right to file his wife for divorce unless she commits adultery. So that's not her way of submitting to her husband, right?
No, but you are forgetting what I say.
Yes.
So the question is addressed by Pharisees, men.
Yes.
Men. It's
Yes.
not saying this is the only way when men do certain things to their wives.
But Jesus puts a condition to it. Unless she commits sexual immorality.
Yeah, but he's saying
So
that
why does he say generally?
Adultery, in general terms, whoever commits adultery,
Yeah.
it's not that adultery is something that is recognized as adultery when the husband does it to the wife.
Yeah. I understand that.
The other
I understand
way-
that.
divorce
Yeah,
is the other way as well.
but abusive husband can still how can I say it? If the wife hasn't committed adultery and he's abusing his wife, can she file for divorce? Yes or no?
doing his duty
You're
as a
giving me
married man?
morals. You're giving me there's a difference between morality and law. I'm talking about the law. The law says that a man doesn't have the right to divorce his wife unless she committed adultery. Now you gave me Peter. You gave me Peter where you're talking about the duty of the husband. But the duty of the husband has got nothing to do with the condition that Jesus put on. Even if she's being good towards her husband, even if he's been kind towards her, it's the law. That's the point. It's the law. The only way that the wife can get divorced from the husband is she commits adultery herself. You're confusing between the law and no. It's between the law and conduct. There's a difference. I'm not talking about the conduct. I'm talking about the law. According to Jesus, what does the law state on the grounds that he can file for divorce? Only if his wife commits adultery. That's to do with the law, not the conduct. First Peter's to do with the conduct. I'm not talking about the conduct. I've given that, but I'm talking about the law.
Okay, you give me the conduct, not the law.
I'm talking about the law. I'm not talking about the conduct. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about the law, not the conduct. Do you know the difference?
Yeah. So one thing is the civil law, the actions one person can do or take. The other is the moral, is the standard, or how you can behave.
No. No, Jesus is prescribing a law. Jesus is prescribing a law about divorce. When you quote it from 1 Peter, you're talking about the conduct of the husband towards the wife. But Jesus is not talking about the conduct of the husband. He's talking about at what circumstances can a husband divorce his wife. And he can only divorce his wife on the basis she commits sexual immorality. So if she doesn't want to be with her husband, the only way that he can get her divorced is if she commits adultery. That's the only way that she can get divorced.
Yeah, but that was given according to a law and to a country where they were given for divorce.
So why is she forced to commit adultery just to get out of the marriage?
She's not forced. So he can commit
No, Jesus put the condition.
This is the problem. Can I just jump in?
Yeah,
He's not forced to commit adultery. That's the problem with your argumentation.
No,
Hold on. Can I explain?
Where did I say
You just said
Christianity allows divorce? Allows adultery. I never said that.
She's forced to commit adultery to get a divorce.
Why is that fair? Is that fair on her?
I'm not saying that's your argument's wrong.
Why is that wrong? Go on.
Right?
Go on.
You have to look at the circumstances, right? You've got a Christian man, right?
Yes.
A Christian and a Christian woman. So these are people that are living by Christian principles or should.
No. Again. I'm not talking about conduct. I'm talking about law. I'm talking about the law. I'm not talking about the conduct.
Let me argue my point, please. I just want to say what I need to say, right? You've got a Christian man and a Christian woman, right? They're married together, right? You're claiming that this Christian man, if he's abusing her, the only way that she can get out of marriage is by committing adultery.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about that situation where the man is actually abusing her. What options does she have while she's being
Committing adultery?
No, she doesn't.
Yes, that's what Jesus says.
Listen to
That's what Jesus says.
Dude, listen to what I'm saying, right? If the woman is in a marriage where the man is abusing her, does that mean that she's...
How can she get out of marriage?
I'm not saying that she's going to get out the marriage.
How?
Listen to my argument, dude. Just listen to me for a second.
But I'm not talking about the conduct. I'm talking about the law. What does the law
Listen
state?
to what I'm saying first, right? I'm not saying that she can get out the marriage. That's what I'm saying. You might not have the same view as me, respectfully.
So how can she get out of marriage?
Let me just listen to me. You're focused on getting out of marriage because you're looking at it from an Islamic perspective.
No, did I quote from the Quran and Sunnah? I quoted from the Bible. What are you on about? No, I'm not going to accept that.
Let me make my point. You're not letting me make my point.
He's talking about the duty of the husband, the duty of the wife. Granted, but what does the law say? He cannot divorce his wife unless she commits adultery. So if she wants to get out of divorce, the only way she can get out of divorce is she commits adultery.
Why does she want to get divorced?
Because she doesn't want to be married with him anymore. She doesn't want to get married anymore.
Why?
Why? That's her decision.
No. Why does she want to get divorced?
Because it's not working anymore.
Why is it a problem?
Wait, hang on. Am I a counsellor? Am I a marriage counsellor?
Why is it
Well, you're talking about marriage.
Are you talking about marriage counsellor? Let me tell you. Right, but if she,
answer the question, bro. Why is she getting divorced?
But can that? Oh, okay, good. I'll answer your question. If a Christian is, wait, hang on. If there's an abusive husband towards his wife, but can she still get divorced? Can she still get divorced without committing adultery?
As a Christian, I would say yes. I'm not representing all of Christianity.
Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence?
Based on what Tim was saying, there's still an option for her to escape the abuse that you do.
Where?
That's what I'm saying.
She can just leave.
No, she can't.
Yes,
she has to commit adultery
to
get out of divorce. No. The Mosaic law says it's the man. It's the man who has the right to divorce, not the woman.
Let's define what marriage is.
No, the wife doesn't have the right to get divorced. It's the man. He said it. He said it himself. I didn't say about separate places. I'm talking about divorce. I'm talking about divorce. Why are you talking about separation?
So chapter 5.
Are you listening to yourself? I'm not talking about separation. I'm talking about divorce. I'm talking about divorce, not separation. You can still be married and separated, but this is about divorce. Okay. Now listen to me very carefully. I'm not talking about yes. I'm not talking about the conduct of the husband. I'm not talking about that. Whether the husband is good or bad, whether the husband is good or bad, a bad husband or a good husband, if she wants to get divorced, can she get divorced without the need to commit adultery? Yes or no?
My opinion, clearly, yes.
No, but it says no.
Yes. You want to complain. So the text is not saying if your husband beats you, then you can't escape.
It does allow. Because it puts a condition. Why didn't Jesus say, A man doesn't have the right to get divorced unless he abuses his wife or doesn't give her the right. Why doesn't Jesus say that?
Does it mean that the wife cannot escape or has to remain?
That's the
with
point. I'm talking about according to the law. Can she get divorced? Yes or no?
No, you're
Can she get divorced? Yes or no? Can she get divorced? Yes or no?
She can escape divorce.
She can
How? Give me the
she
procedure.
Can escape the relationship.
How?
Just go home.
You are basing your argument, for example, in Matthew chapter 5.
Yes.
Matthew chapter 5 is not talking about the civil laws of something. It's talking about the values of the kingdom. It's the Beatitudes.
No, it's talking about marriage. What are you on about?
No,
it's talking about a marriage between a husband and a wife.
You are talking about according to
No,
according to the law of
I can smell
Moses.
split.
You are talking about to the law of
Yeah, I can
Moses.
smell it. Look, the point is, look. I don't drink alcohol. You know it. Now, my point is this. My point is this. Listen to me very carefully. Yes, in 1 Peter, it says that the husband has to be righteous towards his wife. No problem. Granted, that's the case. But that's not a law. That's a conduct. But according to the law that Jesus prescribed, can the wife get divorced unless she commits adultery? Yes or no?
Can I answer you?
Yes.
Yes, because you are trying to separate conduct from law.
And that's what I did.
The gospel, the values of the gospel don't separate conduct from law.
You get it?
Because we are that. We don't have like prescriptions. That's what you have, for example, in Islam. In Islam, beating us right now would be illegal. But if we do it,
so why does Jesus put condition? Why did he put condition?
An imam comes
Why
and
did?
says,
Wait, hang on. Why did Jesus put a condition then if it's not a law?
Remember.
No. Answer the question.
I'm trying to answer you. Matthew chapter 5. You said before.
Yes.
But that's according to the law of Moses. Chapter 5. From chapters 5 to 7, Jesus follows this narrative.
No, Jesus amends the Mosaic law. See, you're not reading.
No. He's saying.
What does Jesus say? What did Jesus say in Matthew 5:17?
Remember, listen to this.
What does Matthew say? No, you don't complete the verse. Go on.
Repeated.
Go on.
In chapters 5, 6, and 7. You have heard that the law says this, but I tell you that.
Exactly, that's my point.
So, no,
did Jesus say, I've abrogated the Mosaic law? Did he say that? Or did he amend the Mosaic law? What did Jesus say in Matthew chapter 5 verse 17? No, Jesus give us the answer.
A new law that is separated.
New law. Did you hear that? He says, no. Remember what he said? No. Remember what he said a few months ago? Christianity doesn't have these prescriptions like Islam, yet you say Jesus giving a new law. So will you retract your statement? 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 Will you retract your statement here? Will you retract your statement? You just said that Jesus gave us a new law, and yet a few months ago you said Christianity is not like Islam that has laws. But clearly you said Jesus gave you a new law.
A new law that is not.
So it's a law. So I'm asking you, if the wife doesn't commit sexual immorality, can she get divorced from the husband? Yes or no?
She's not forced to live.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you if she just wants to end the marriage. It's not working. The husband's not giving me my right. Can she get divorced? Can she? No wonder why many European women cheat. Because their experience from domestic violence, the only way they can get filed for divorce is commit adultery. That's the point. Can she? We've already discussed that. Can she? Hang on. You still? Can she file for divorce unless she goes out and commit adultery? Yes or no?
Your question was this.
Okay. In Islam, you want to hear about Islam? There was a case study of a woman. There was a case. Wait, she's not answering my question. He's not answering my question.
Be genuine.
Yeah, I know. He's not answering my question.
Be genuine.
No, you should be genuine. He's not answering my question. No, he's not answering.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
More than what he said. So how do you know he hasn't
Did you hear him say it's a new law?
Have you heard his
Wow.
Have you heard
Can
his
a wife file? Does the wife have the right to file for divorce unless she commits adultery?
You asked me if a wife can escape an abusive husband.
Yes.
I told you the values. According to Peter, he says that the Bible doesn't address even domestic violence.
Right.
Because Peter says that if a husband speaks harshly to his wife, God won't listen to his prayer.
Good. But does it say? Good. But does 1 Peter say if the husband is not being good to his wife, file for divorce? It doesn't say that. That's my point. You separate the conduct from the law. If you have, see, he got the point. No. You have an abusive husband. No, you have an abusive husband. You have an abusive husband. right? He's not doing his duty, but yet he has the final say. He has the right, whether he wants to divorce his wife or not. The only way that the wife can file for divorce if she commits adultery. Now, how's that just? Why does she have to commit adultery to get divorced?
I just want to understand that.
Can you answer that?
I just want to understand that setup.
Can you you haven't answered my question.
I'm just trying to understand that setup.
Go on.
You keep bringing up this abuse thing, right?
Yes.
Remember, this conversation is on the back of us saying, and you admitted this, that in Islam, husbands can beat their wives.
No, get out of here, man. Honestly, you're being insincere. You're being insincere. You're being insincere. I've answered this question. No objection. And when I go to the Bible, that's when you flip out. That's why I don't want to talk to you. There you go. There you go. No. Now, you still haven't answered my question. You still haven't answered my question. Can you answer the question? No. You have a big mouth. No. I want you to answer. Okay. So why are you talking then? Then keep it between us. Okay, go on.
For the sake of the camera as well.
Go on.
Remember, I've been entertaining your Muslim cameras here. The first Christian camera we have, so it's important that they have an update on what
it's very important. According to Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. Do you want me to address the Christian audience? According to the Gospel of you told me. According to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, Jesus says that a man does not. See why you talking over me? A man does. No. See why he's taking away.
I'm going to give you the context for divorce according to the Gospel of Matthew. First of all, the Gospel of Matthew.
Anyway.
Chapter 9. Yeah, what's good? The question was valid.
You got half a brain, you got quarter of a brain.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings. No hard feelings, man. No worries. But it's just disappointing. I didn't get an answer. That's the point.
The context is, at that time there were two schools of theology in regards to divorce. The school of Gamaliel and the school of Hanai. One said that a husband could divorce his wife even if she wasn't an expert in cooking, I don't know, less natural. Husband should go to the rabbi, to the Hijri, and say,
minus 7. 2025 minus 7.
In 2025.
Minus 7 is what? No.
Fine.
The year is 2025. What is 2025 minus 7?
Oh, it's not 2025?
Yes. 2025 minus 7 is what? That's the year you are in. That's the year you are in now.
So we are not in the year 2025?
No.
Okay. So,
So, in the Muslim year, which year are we in? No, in the Muslim year, which year are you in?
in the Gregorian calendar, which year are we in?
You don't have the Gregorian calendar.
Which calendar do you follow?
Egyptian calendar.
Egyptian calendar. Good. In that calendar, just today, is equivalent to 2025 of the Gregorian calendar.
You don't have the Gregorian calendar. Which year was the Gregorian calendar?
Julian calendar?
Julius Caesar. It was invented by Julius Caesar.
Okay. When we say 2025, which calendar is it?
2025.
Okay, look, in my phone, here is the date. 1446.
Time. Man made it.
No, not time.
Man made the time.
No, 1446 AH.
That's which calendar is that? Which calendar?
Hijri calendar.
1446.
46.
So which time? No. Come down.
I'm not finished. I'm going to continue. In 1446, after Hijri,
14. So calculating from the
when I
Hijri.
finish,
Calculating from the Hijri to the day is 40.
in 1446 after Hijri, we know.
Which year was the Hijri?
You're interrupting.
No, which year was the Hijri?
You were interrupted.
Which year was the Hijri? Tell me the year.
You're interrupted.
Which year was the Hijri? Tell me the year. Okay, no, I want to know the year first before you come 1446.
You keep on interrupting, right?
Which year was the Hijri?
I cannot talk to you because you keep interrupting.
Okay, go on.
Today, in 1446 after Hijrah, we know the universe is expanding.
Which year was the Hijri? That make it 1446. Which year was that? Add 16.
If you believe the universe is made out of cheese,
I mean 1446. We are talking of the year. We are talking of Gregorian. We are talking of durian. We are talking of 1446.
I have one further question. Is the moon made out of cheese, do you believe?
Make me the year 1446. I want to come to the year. He doesn't know the date. Which year of the Hijri? No, which year of the Hijri? Give me the answer, please.
Is the moon
Which year of the
out of cheese?
Which year of the Hijri? That's my first question. Give me the. Then we add the year to now and see if it's equal to 1446. Which year of the Hijri? Which year was the Hijri?
Date is not important.
It's very, very important. Why do you do mathematics? If dates are not important, why do you do mathematics?
Date is important?
Very, very important. Yes.
So I will take your date.
You gave me 1446. If date is not important, why do you say 1446?
I will take your date.
No, why say 1446? You doesn't know.
I'm giving you that I will take whatever date you believe today is.
No, no. I say 1446. Which year was the Hijri? Tell me. The Hijri.
The Hijri calendar started when?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you have 22A Hijra.
No. I mean which year? Okay, 22A Hijra. Let's go. Which year was the Hijri? And add it. And add now. If you
Do you know what a Hijra represents?
It's migration of Muhammad.
That is one we talk about.
So which year was that? Which year was that?
Right.
Which year was that?
According to which calendar?
Muslim calendar.
Muslim calendar started from there, my friend.
No, which year was that?
Which year of what?
The Hijra. No, it's not zero. It's not zero.
Muslim calendar started from that, right?
Which year? Which year was that? Of the Hijra.
Compared to which calendar?
No, Jesus. They have got the year for Jesus. They have got Muhammad. They have got Musa. So which year was the Hijra?
Compared to what calendar?
Compared to Egyptian calendar.
Right. Tell me Egyptian calendar today is what?
2025 minus 7. It's the Egyptian calendar.
And what year is that then? Minus 7. Go on, tell me.
Yeah, let me show you.
Yeah, I calculate it. Go on.
Yeah.
2025 minus 7. Go on.
Yeah. Which year was that?
I'm asking you.
Okay, good.
Oh, you don't know?
No. I have to give my. Okay, 22.
Is it 18, brother? 18. Yeah, 2025 minus 7.
2022 minus 7 is what?
Do you know?
Do you
Do you know?
2025 minus 7 is what?
That's what I'm telling you,
That's
18.
it. That's the year. And this corresponds our community year of the Hebrews and the Jews is the same.
In 2018 of the Egyptian calendar,
Yes.
scientists, which you do not accept.
No. I need the year of the Hijra.
Let him answer that. Let him speak.
No. I need the year of the Hijra
All
first.
right, let him speak.
No, I'm not saying I need the year of the Hijra. That's what I want to know. Then let's add it and see if it's 1446. Let's see. Is it from 1446 to today? Which year of the Hijra?
That doesn't make sense.
It makes sense. No, which year?
People speak, man, and listen first.
I want the answer.
God, man, let him
Which year of the
speak.
Hijra? Tell me.
If you want to know what is 1446 to 2018,
No, not 2018. I mean the 1446. Which year?
it's no longer 2018 anymore.
I mean 1446. which year or the Hijra started to make it 1442? Which year? 622.
Sorry.
So 622 plus 2025, we get 1446. Are you going to get 1446? 622 plus 2025, are you going to get 1446? Which make it equivalent to this? We get it.
622.
Okay.
The Gregorian.
It's not Gregorian. 622 is not Gregorian.
Can I let him speak?
Because he doesn't know. He's running away. He's running away. This man, he claims to be a scholar. He's running away.
Give us speech over there.
Yeah, he's running away. This is not the normal.
What year was the Hijra?
When he can't answer, he said, Allah no God. If not, he'll be running. Mansour is running. Mansour is running away. Which year?
That's the reason
He's running
we
away.
don't talk to people like that.
Because he doesn't know.
Leave their brain.
He don't have
Tell
brain.
them to come here.
Mansour is running away. He don't have brain. He don't have brain. He's running away. A person right. He's running. He doesn't know. Which year is the Hijra? Which year was the Hijra? Tell me the Hijra is there. Tell me the Hijra. He doesn't know. He comes to be a scholar. He doesn't know anything. Once he comes to be a scholar, you are trying to use gravity. You see, that's why the Allah knows best. You see, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything.
People need some entertainment.
You don't know anything. Mansour doesn't know anything. Almost usually, you are running. Mansour is
Anyway, shape or form.
هذول الذين
لكن لا تعتقد أن القرآن معكم فإذا سألناكم تهربون من الجواب. الله سبحانه وتعالى المدد يا علي. يا الذي يقول المدد يا علي. أنا واقف إذا قلت المدد يساعدني معناته. لكن الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام أنا أعرف القرآن